Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Oh, buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strike, you're out at the old ball game. Take me out to the ball game.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Cincinnati Razorback Room in beautiful downtown Siloam Springs, Arkansas, for another episode of Star Power Baseball All-Time Teams. Yes, this is the second in our many parts of these videos where we pick our all-time team, and it's open for debate. You can agree, you can disagree, you can holler and scream, you can yippee and yi-oh, you can do whatever you want. This episode of Star Power Baseball is going to be about the all-time Braves, and it's brought to you by Star Power Baseball, baseball's greatest board game that's ever been out. Star Power Baseball is a realistic board game that you can play one team against another, one player against another, and you can match up any player from any era of baseball against another player from a different era or even the same era of baseball just to see the results. A purely fantasy game with a great deal of variety, new cards, strategy, all yours, and you can get that through this website on Facebook on Star Power Baseball groups, contacting me, Dennis, at warhammerworld@hotmail.com, or you can phone me. Join our Facebook group at Star Power Baseball. We'd like for you to subscribe to that website, that Facebook page, by sending in a request to join the group. No problem at all. We're glad to have you aboard. Also, we'd like you to like this on the YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now that all the business and crap is out of the way, it's time for the all-time Braves right here on Star Power Baseball. All right, it's time to get down to action right here. You remember last time that I was doing this, I was just finished up my COVID shot and I was kind of loopy. Today, feeling great, beautiful day in downtown Siloam Springs, Arkansas, coming to you from the Cincinnati Razorback Room. And let's get started with the all-time Braves. Let's take the first baseman's first. Good place to start. First place, first base. Let's go. A first baseman that I picked first is from the 1800s through the early 1900s. Never played on the successful turn of the century Braves, but is considered to be the inventor of the 3-6-3 double play, first, short, first, and that is Fred Tenney. Fred Tenney is a left-handed hitter. Good card, 1 point, excellent card for 1 point. You'll enjoy that card, Fred Tenney. My second first baseman, and remember at all these positions I choose 3 at each position. I choose 9 outfielders and then I choose 12 pitchers. Okay, second first baseman from the 1950s Braves championship teams. The championship teams, and I think this guy, I was really torn between him and but this guy's, I love this card. For 7 points, 1 respin first baseman, Joe Adcock. A power hitting right-hander. You're going to love this card. And he comes from the Southeast Conference, and he was a basketball player, all SEC basketball player in the SEC. So next first baseman, Joe Adcock. Rounding out our first baseman, the guy right now, the reigning MVP in the National League, none other than Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's a great ball player and a left-handed hitter. He's 5 points and currently active. Really good hitter, a lifetime 295 hitter, good power, great fielding. Freddie Freeman is my last first baseman. So there you have our first baseman. Let's start going around the infield. Let's go to our second baseman. Coming from those Braves teams of the 1990s, ruling the roost all through the 90s, winning every division championship through the 1990s. let's go with Glenn Hubbard. Glenn Hubbard is a 3-point second baseman, not got a whole lot of power, got a little bit of pop in the bat, great fielder, really, really good fielder, and you're gonna love using that card, especially for only 3 points, Glenn Hubbard. My second one is a batting champion, a former batting champion, also an all-star that played for the Braves, played in the 1930s, 1940s era, and I'm going to go with Tony Cuccinello. It's a really good-looking card, really sharp-looking card, as all these are, but this one really, I like the portrait of Tony on this one. Former batting champion, and he's also on my all-time Braves team. And rounding it out, coming from, I believe, those Miracle Braves, right before it, but on the championship teams in the early 1890s, you got Bobby Lowe, or Bobby Lowe. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm going to go with Lowe. Great second baseman. He also plays left and third, so you can use him as a utility guy, and great speed. The guy can run really well, field all the positions like an all-star, and he's going to be really good on your team. There's your Braves second baseman, rounding those out, and he's only 6 points, so not a bad card. Let's go to shortstop. Okay, we're just going to go round the infield. Round and round we go, and at shortstop we begin with a 5-time pennant winner back in the 1880s and 90s. We're going to go with Herman Long. That's right, we're digging way back into the past now. Herman Long, and Herman's a 5-point shortstop, and a 44 rated is really good. The guy can also run. He's a 55 plus, so you're getting a really good buy right there on Mr. Long. My second shortstop for the Braves comes from those pennant winners of the 50s, Johnny Logan. Logan was one of the key ingredients in that Braves 57-58 run, and the Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews infield right there, Adcock. Very, very good ball player, Johnny Logan. And rounding out the shortstops, one of the very first Hall of Fame inductees at shortstop, not the first, because Hannes Wagner was, but one of the first, we're going with Rabbit Moranville. And Moranville did play on those Miracle Braves of 1914. Very, very good card, solid base runner, great fielder, and only a 4-point card. So that rounds out your shortstops. Let's move around to the hot corner over there and go with our third baseman. And our first third baseman, say that 3 times fast. Our first third baseman is going to be Bob Horner. Never played a minor league game. Bob Horner is our first third sacker. Played with those kind of sorry Braves teams in the 80s, and slugger extraordinaire. Fun to watch. Man, he was fun to watch. And was an all-star quite a few times. Great, great player. Went straight from college to the big leagues, and he's only 9 points with a respin at third. That's huge. Now, another great third baseman for the Braves, coming from that Atlanta team of the 90s, and was the rookie on their very first championship team. We're going to go with Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones, third base, tried center field, tried shortstop, was a solid third baseman, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 switch hitters of all time. Chipper Jones. Really, really love this card. He's a 1 respin card for 14 points. Hall of Famer Chipper Jones at third base. And rounding out our hot corners, gonna be none other than the blast master himself, left-handed hitting Eddie Matthews. Ed Matthews is a 2 respin ball player, was on those 57-58 Braves. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's the only player that played on Boston, Milwaukee, and Atlanta Braves. So you got a great player there. Eddie Matthews, one of my favorite players growing up, left-handed hitting third baseman, 2 respins, 16 points. All right, so we've gone around the infield. Let's go to the backstop and start with our catching. From those beautiful Braves of the 90s to win all the time, win the division, go to the World Series 2 or 3, 4 times, let's go with Javi Lopez. Javi Lopez, great catcher, doesn't get respins, can't run, but a good solid 32 catcher. And you're going to like the card. It's got a good size home run. He's got a lot of walk on there. Just a good all-around player. And he's only 2 points, Javi Lopez. My second catcher is from those 1950s again. All-star, great player, underappreciated a lot. We're talking about Del Crandall. Del Crandall was a great player back in the 50s and 60s. A tremendous addition to your collection, tremendous addition to your teams, and at only 4 points, a great guy in a low-scoring game. Like if you're going to do a 25, 30, 40-point game, a 4-point catcher with power that can field his position at a 45, it's hard to beat. Hard to beat that. Del Crandall is one of my catchers. And another one of my catchers, kind of split time between catching, third, and a little bit of everything. Played for the Braves, played for the Cardinals, but while he was with the Braves, all-star catcher, Joe Torre. I think that this Hall of Famer, not only does he deserve to be in as a manager, this guy deserves to be in as a player. This guy could flat play baseball. And during the 60s, there was not a better catcher. And I'm going to tell you right up, I don't think there was a better catcher that came along until Johnny Bench replaces this guy as the best catcher in baseball. I like the Joe Torre card. It's expensive. It's 14 points because you get a first base, third base, and a catcher with a respin. Great card, Joe Torre. All right, let's move into the outfield. And I've got center fielders mixed in with everybody else, but we're going to start out with one of the All-Stars, I believe, from the original All-Star game, 1933. We're going to go with Wally Berger. Wally Berger is a great card for only 11 points. He gives you a respin, and he's a center fielder, and a stout center fielder, a 33 center fielder. So he's not going to kick the ball around for you, not going to throw the wrong base, and he's going to give you a good, solid outing every time he goes out, and a respin at center field. That is nice. So let's dig back now and go way back into the 1800s and dig out a player that played, and they call him Slidin' Billy. Slidin' Billy. And he is amazing. This card, you're going to want this card in your collection. He played from the 1880s to the 1900s, just barely broke in the 1900s. All-time Braves, left fielder, center fielder extraordinaire, a CF 45, Billy Hamilton. And that's a 13-point card with a respin. That is a wonderful card to have. Sliding Billy Hamilton. Huge walk. The guy gets on base probably at about a 450 clip. Man, the guy is good. You're going to love using the Billy Hamilton card. Let's move up into that 90s Braves era. And let's go with another great outfielder, left-handed power-hitting right fielder, David Justice. David Justice is a 6-point player, does get a respin, plays a decent right field at a 22. You're going to like having this card in your collection. 2 good-sized walks, great home run. This guy can hit for power, play the field, David Justice. Let's dig back in the history books a little bit. Go back into the 1940s and early 50s to a right fielder the Braves had, kind of the cornerstone of those mediocre teams of the 40s and 50s. Tommy Holmes. Tommy Holmes is a really good card. He's a lifetime 300 hitter with a good right field arm. He led the league in putouts, I think, once or twice. A 54 outfielder. He's solid. He can play the field. Good contact. Doesn't strike out a lot. Good player, Tommy Holmes. And he's only 5 points. I mean, you're going to like that player. He's a good ball player. All right, let's go way back again. Go way back. And go into the 1880s, 1890s, early 1900s to the man with the highest single season batting average ever, 448, I believe it was. The big expensive card, though, 15 points for a center fielder, rated out at a 55, Hugh Duffy. Hugh Duffy is a great card. He can run. He's a 55-plus runner. He's a tremendous card to have. Hit 440 in 1894. Still the record of Major Leagues, 440 average. The guy was incredible. That's almost 500, guys. It's almost every other time he comes up, he gets a hit. This guy could hit. Back in the day, he hit for power, walked a lot, hardly ever struck out. Hugh Duffy. Now we're going to do a complete 180, jump into today, one of my favorite players. I try to use his card as often as possible. I love watching this guy play. Exuberant on the field, just shows you how much fun it is to play baseball. A big, nice 14-point card, Ronald Acuna Jr. I love this guy. One of my favorite players out there in the game today. Ronaldo. I love this guy, man. Enjoy that card. Big home run, big walk. Plays the position as good as anybody. Braves are loaded out there in center field. Keeping it up in center field, let's go with one of the guys that played on those mediocre Braves teams again, but made TBS a national pastime. Yeah, watching the Braves play baseball, and none other than Dale Murphy. That's right, one of my favorite players, and you're going to like this card, man. He's a CF42, can hit, has a respin, comes in at 11 points, might even be a Hall of Famer. He's a two-time MVP, Dale Murphy. Moving right along, let's get over there to one of the most, I think, overlooked and tremendous players, home run hitter, best center fielder of his day during that run of the Braves, Andrew Jones. I think he hit a home run in his first two World Series at bats. But anyway, the guy was fun to watch. Never did a game go by on TV, and this was when you were watching TBS all the time, and the Braves were the talk of the town. Hardly ever did you get to watch a game where Andrew Jones didn't make some kind of spectacular play, throwing a guy out, diving for a baseball. This guy could flat play center field. Maybe in the modern era, from 1945 on, from post-World War II, there may not have been a better fielding center fielder ever, and that includes Willie Mays, than Andrew Jones. Andrew might be the cream of the crop in fielding. He comes in at 3 points without a respin, strikes out a lot, hits a lot of dongs, good, solid card. And then rounding out the outfield out there, the final outfield, what Braves team would be complete without the home run king himself, that they still call the home run king, Hammerin' Hank Aaron. Hammerin' Hank comes in at 17 points. He's a 2 respin right fielder. And what hasn't been said about this guy? Most RBIs, most runs, the guy's unbelievable. Total bases, all-star all the time, Hall of Famer. Guy is the epitome of a baseball player. Hank Aaron, love that card. Comes in at 17 points. All right, let's get into the Braves pitching staff. Let's start with the pitchers. And our first pitcher that we're going to start with comes to you as a reliever, one of the top of the game ever, still active today, Craig Kimbrell. A 13-point R1 +4, strikes people out right and left, kind of struggled the last couple years, but in 2021 seems to have found his rhythm once again and is definitely in the gunning you down. Craig Kimbrell, one of the top 3 or 4 relief pitchers of all time, Craig Kimbrell. When his ballot comes up for the Hall of Fame, he will be talked about, may even get in. Next one is the guy who stopped Pete Rose's 44-game hitting streak. That's right. He is a 3-point pitcher. He's only 3 points, Pete, and he got you. And Pete said he was pitching like it was the 7th game of the World Series. Well, pitching against Pete, it's always the 7th game of the World Series because Pete never gave an at-bat away. And Gene Garber never gave away an at-bat either. Gene pitched him hard and got him to end Pete Rose's 44-game hitting streak. Coming in at 3 points, Gene Garber. Let's move on to another pitcher for the Braves on those 57, 58 teams coming in, throwing 3 wins, I believe, in the 57 series, Lou Burdett. A 1-point pitcher. Lou is a tremendous addition at only 1. Got a big ground out, fly out, going to make you a good play. I mean, when you're playing those low point games, those 1-point pitchers with a lot of built-in respin, they work. And Lou Burdett fits the bill. Next pitcher I want to talk about is from that 1948 Braves team, Spawn and Sane and a couple days of rain. Johnny Sane checks in at 4 points. That's right. He's a 7-inning pitcher, great hitter. One of the best hitting pitchers that ever played the game. Great card to have in your collection. Good looking card too. I mean, the portrait on the front really looks good. Johnny Sane. Next pitcher that we have for the Braves, let's date way back to those 1800s, 1900s teams that were kind of mediocre to bad. Go with Vic Willis. Vic's card is amazing. A lot of built-in respin with a minus home run, minus walk, minus hit, and a great big 80-degree ground ball. So Vic Willis there checks in at 11 points. Tremendous card. This is a guy, he's an 8-inning pitcher with 2 respins. This is a guy that would really be good if you're playing one of those medium point, 40, 50 point games. And you got a room for a really good, strong pitcher. 11 points will get you where you need to go with Vic Willis. Our next pitcher, going back to the Hall of Fame, one of those guys from the 1800s, going up into the 1900s, one of only 3 or 4 Hall of Famers that are S9 plus 4. Not many pitchers on their lifetime card qualify for S9 plus 4, but Kid Nichols does. Kid Nichols is a great card to have. It's about 17 points. Good card to look at. The portrait on it's really fun to see. The card looks great and it plays very well. Okay, keeping up right along. Let's go right there and go with another Hall of Famer. Back again from the 1800s, pre-1900 game. This is an S9 plus 3, which is just about like the same. John Clarkson. This card's evil. This card, G and F, minus walk, minus hit, minus homer. This guy has built-in respins and still gets 3 more. 9 and 3s, 12 pips on him. Great card to have for 13 points. John Clarkson. Moving right along. We're going to go into the Braves kind of Mount Rushmore pitchers right here. Mr. Brave himself. Everybody loves him. He just passed away recently. One of my favorite guys to watch pitch a game of baseball, Phil Niekro. Good pitcher. Man, this guy was just the epitome of what pitching was all about. Here, hit this. You miss it, you hit it, whatever. When you hit it, you're going to hit it to one of my fielders. We're going to pick it up. We're going to throw you out. 300 game winner and only 7 points, Phil Niekro. I love that card. Stepping up again, now we're going to go into some of those famed guys. You're going to love them. From those Braves teams of the 90s, starter turned into a reliever for 13 points, Hall of Famer, John Smoltz. John Smoltz, one of my favorite Hall of Fame speeches ever. I loved it. The guy is a showman, and when he's on MLB Network, John Smoltz, I listen to you. You're really fun to listen to because you know what you're talking about and you don't pull any punches. You're almost as good as the NBA on TNT. You're almost as good as they are. Where they don't, now John's polite though. He's not Barkley. Barkley's going to tell you you suck. John's going to say he could do better. When John Smoltz says he could do better and he says it with that stern face of his, you know that he's saying you suck today. I really loved listening to John Smoltz on MLB TV. He's a wonderful commentator and one of the smartest guys out there that knows what he's doing. Let's move on to another pitcher. Coming at me with 7 points. Let's go back to the big 3. The 90s guys coming in with a 300 game winner. A 7-point left-hander, Tom Hall of Fame Glavine. Glavine's the one that pitched that game that beat the Indians. Tom Glavine is a star, a 300 game winner. One of my favorite pitchers that threw, I think he threw about 45 or 50 miles an hour. I think that's about what it was. And the players, it looked like Bugs Bunny up there throwing that slow changeup. He could strike out 2 guys on 1 pitch. That's about how Tom Glavine was. Fun to watch. One of the smartest pitchers that you'll ever see. Always worked that outside corner. Worked it and worked it and worked it and worked it. And then you knew he was going to come inside and go back outside again. Tom Glavine, one of my favorite pitchers, those 90s powerhouse Braves. All right, let's go into another one of the Mount Rushmore pitchers for the all-time Braves. This guy might be the greatest pitcher that ever played the game for the Braves. He could be. This guy's up there on Mount Rushmore from the 90s Braves again. We had Smoltz, we had Glavine, add Greg Maddux. That's right, we're going to add Greg Maddux to the mix. Here's a 15-point pitcher, 355 wins. Maddux would say to the hitter, you want to steal my signs? Go ahead. It's going to be a two-seam fastball. It's going to be a strike, and you're not going to swing at it. That's Greg Maddux. That's going to be about 85 miles an hour. There you go. Try to hit it. You're not going to. Greg Maddux, an all-time Braves, tremendous pitcher, Cy Young awards, just World Series champ, league. You say it, Greg Maddux has done it. Once pitched a shutout on 74 pitches. Yeah, Greg Maddux, great guy. You know, every time I watch Greg Maddux pitch, you know what I saw him do? Strike one. Boom. 27 outs that he's going to get in the game, and I'll promise you 20 to 25 of them, the first pitch is a strike. Loved watching Greg Maddux, master on the mound. And now comes the stalwart of all left-handed pitching, what you're always going to be rated against, the left-hander of the Braves, pitched in the 40s, pitched in the 50s, pitched in the 60s, 363 victories, Warren Spahn. And Warren Spahn's going to run you 12 points. A great pitcher. You're going to love the card. It'll be great in your collection. Enjoy that. Big, and the portrait on the front is fantastic on the Warren Spahn card. Tremendous portrait on the front. You'll love it. Enjoy it. Use it. Warren Spahn. And then that wraps up the all-time Braves team. And in just a second, Dennis is going to pick his starters for the all-time Braves. All right, guys, we're back again. Are you ready for the starters at each position for the all-time Braves? My starters might be different than yours, and that's fine. My team might be different than yours, and that's fine too. Feel free to leave a comment, email me, call me, text me, whatever you want to do. But hey, this is not meant to answer questions. This is meant to start discussions. And that's what the all-time Braves team's going to do. Starting for me at first base, current player, MVP in 2020, Freddie Freeman. I'm going with Freeman. You may go with somebody else. I'm going with Freddie Freeman. That's just, hey, enjoy making yours. My second baseman, coming from those 1890s to early 1900s teams, I'm going with Bobby Lowe at second base. Bobby Lowe. Now, I've played the all-time season a couple of times, and Bobby Lowe's solid. The card's good, and he's good. Shortstop was tough. But I'm going with Hall of Famer Rabbit Moranville as my Braves starting shortstop. He's going to give me the defense up the middle, probably hitting the 9-hole for me. Okay. Rounding out the infield for me, man, you talk about a tough choice. You talk about a tough choice. Bob Horner, Chipper Jones, Eddie Matthews. I went with Eddie Matthews. Just love the card, man. I mean, a 2-respin third baseman, I'm going with Eddie Matthews. He's awesome. All right, my catcher. For me, this was a no-brainer. I'm going to use him. Now, you may not consider him that guy, but I do, and I love him. Joe Torre. Joe Torre's my guy. Starting lineup for the Braves, Joe Torre. In the outfield, Dale Murphy is one of my outfielders. I like the Dale Murphy card. I love the picture on the front of the card, and I love his performance during the 80s. Dale Murphy, 2-time MVP, belongs in the Hall of Fame. Center field, I'm going with Andrew Jones. It was tough to leave Billy Hamilton off. It was tough to leave Dave Justice off. It was tough to leave off a lot of those guys. Hugh Duffy. I'm going with Andrew Jones. I still think that in my lifetime, he is the greatest fielding center fielder that I've ever had witnessed in the game. And the guy also hits home runs. Not, 250 hit or something, Andrew Jones. And then, of course, rounding out the outfield, you got to go with Henry Aaron. I mean, come on, man. Henry Aaron's your outfield. He's the king of the Braves. He is Mr. Brave. Henry Aaron rounds out the outfield. And now you get to go pick a DH. And as my DH, none other than Chipper Jones. I'm going with a switch hitter, Hall of Famer from those 90s teams, Chipper Jones. So that also gives me the versatility to bring him in at third base with Eddie Matthews, and I could interchange him. Matthews is a little better fielder, so I'm using Chipper Jones as my DH. My relief pitcher for the all-time Braves, my closer. Man, you got a hard choice here, but I'm going with Craig Kimbrell. I really think Craig Kimbrell might be one of the 5 best relief pitchers that ever pitched. Craig Kimbrell is stout. The card is mean. It's evil. You're going to want that card on your team, Craig Kimbrell. Number 2 pitcher, right-handed pitcher. You got to get a righty out there. Number 2 pitcher, not number 1, number 2. Right-handed pitcher, Greg Maddux. Love you, Maddux. Nothing needs to be said about this guy. He's awesome. Greg Maddux, starting right-handed pitcher. And my starting left-handed pitcher, 363 wins. Are you serious? Warren Spahn. Warren Spahn comes in as my starting pitcher. I'm going to start Warren over Greg Maddux, man. I mean, they're close to each other in wins, but I like that lefty, man. I just got to have me a lefty. And I can bring Maddux in the 4th inning and then close it out with Craig Kimbrell. I mean, come on, man. This Braves team's ridiculous. You're going to love playing the all-time Braves. Well, that wraps up another episode of Star Power Baseball from the beautiful downtown Cincinnati Razorback Room in downtown Siloam Springs. I'm your host, Cincinnati Dennis. Hope to see you again next time for the next episode of Star Power Baseball. Check us out on Facebook at the group Star Power Baseball. Be sure to tune into our next podcast, which will be about brand new sets of cards that are coming out. And that podcast is due in just a few days from now. And it's a brand new set of cards. I can't give you any more, Satchel Paige. I can't give you any more information, Cool Papa Bell. I can't give you any more information than what I'm giving you now, except that it's dealing with some brand new sets of cards that you're going to want. Remember, you can look at our catalogs. They're free. If you don't have a catalog yet, email me at warhammerworld@hotmail.com and I'll send you a catalog absolutely free. Be sure to put your mailing address there so that I can mail it out to you. I do not do digital copies of the catalog. No, I don't do it. If you want a catalog, it's going to be a hard copy. I'm going to mail it to you. You can get it in your grimy, dirty little hands, and you can touch it and see it and look at it and read it and drool over it and then order some stuff from us. Star Power Baseball is exclusively copyrighted by Dengent Gaming, and all rights are reserved. Please feel free to ask questions and comment right here on the YouTube channel, and email us, call us, 479-263-3036, and share your stories about Star Power Baseball. As my old buddy Gabriel says, dice are nice, but the spin is in. Keep on spinning until next time on Star Power Baseball. This is Cincinnati Dan. Have a great afternoon.